In this video, we're going to look at solving problems involving data, and these are just going to be a few examples that tie together some things that we've learned here in Module 2. So my first example here, we're given a segmented bar graph that shows the percentage of basketball players and football players who participate in track and field or swimming in their off season. And here we were asked which of the following tables could have been used to create the segmented bar graphs. And for this, there were 4 different tables that we had to choose from. But this was the right one, and I'll show you why. So the first thing that I'm doing here is I want to get the totals with respect to basketball and football. So the total for this, 260 plus 140, that's going to give me 400. And the total for football, I'm just adding 350 plus 150, and that's going to give me 500. All right. And from here, I just want to get the percentages and see if they match what's over here. So if I look at the first segmented bar, this coming across, it looks like this is about 65%, which means that the orange, the swimming, that would be 35%. And if I look at this one, this segment here, it looks like it's at 70%, which means that the orange part would be 30%. So what I want to do is check these numbers and just see if they match up to these percents. So for example, if I look at this first number, 260, out of its total, which was 400, 260 divided by 400, I get 0.65. And I'll do the same thing for the next one. So 140 divided by 400. Again, I'll do that on my calculator. I get 0.35. All right, so already I can tell this is matching, right? 65%, 35%. I did start us off with the right one, but I'm showing you why that we knew this was the right one. So for football, I will check that one also. So that would be 350 divided by 500. And if I divide that, there we go, I get 0.7 or 70%. And for the last one, 140, no, I'm sorry, 150 divided by 500. That gives me 0.3 or 30%. So now I can see all these percents, they match with all the decimals over here. This must be the correct table. Okay, my next example, here I've got the medical department at a local government agency has compiled test results for sick individuals who've been tested for the flu. Here's our sick individuals. They have found that not all the people who test positive for the flu actually have the flu, and some people who test negative actually do have the flu. So here we've got a tree diagram that shows the conditional relative frequencies. Again, that word relative, that tells me that these are going to all be percents. And the first thing I really want to do before I even start this problem is just fill in the blanks. If this is a 25%, I know that this is 75%. Just subtracting from 100. Over here, if this was 95, I know that this is 5%. Again, just subtracting from 100. And this one was 92. I know that this is 8%. And the questions ask me what percent of sick individuals tested negative for the flu. So I'll be looking at kind of this part and also this part. And this is telling me that 5% of this 75% tested negative. So that means I'm doing 0.05 times 0.75. I'm going to add that to the other part over here. This was telling me 92% of this 25% tested negative. So here I will do 0.92 times 0.25. Remember, percent written as a decimal, you are just moving over the decimal place by 2 places. So on my calculator, I'm doing 0.05 times 0.75, and I get 0.0375. All right, and for the second part, I'm doing 0.92 times 0.25, and here I get 0.23. And my last step, I'm really just adding these two together. All right, so I'm going to get 0.2. There we go. And my last step, just move that decimal over 2 places. I get 26.75%. Okay, my next example, a group of seniors decide to spend their spring break away from home, attending at least one major event, and the following table summarizes their preference. Here they're asking me what percent want to attend a concert, given that they are traveling out of state. So that given, that tells me to look here at this row. All right, and I'll be looking at the 391, they want to attend a concert, the 391 out of this row. So my first step here is, let's figure out what the total of this row is. I'm adding 391 plus 59. That's going to give me 450. And I don't really need to do the total up here because they're not asking me for that. But all I'm going to divide is what is this number out of this number. So I'll be doing 391 divided by 450 on my calculator. So here I'm getting 0.8688. All right, which is really our answer. Here they're asking for a percent, so I'm just going to write this as 86.88%, or you could round that up to 87%. Just depends on the question. Let's do one more. So here's another table. The following table summarizes the percent of the U.S. who has diabetes and the accuracy of these current medical tests used to detect the disease. What is the ratio of false positives to true positives? So I'm looking at the ones that tested positive. That's going to be this column. And the false positives here, those were the ones that did not have diabetes. That was 5%. The true positives were 35%. And I'm going to write this as a ratio, right? So I'm just going to say 5 to 35. Or I could also write that as a fraction. 5 over 35, same thing. And my last step is I really just want to reduce this, reduce that fraction. I get 1 to 7 is the ratio. All right, and my last one here, Ebola is a serious, highly contagious virus. The Department of Health keeps records of all individuals who have symptoms of and get tested for Ebola each year. Use the partially completed relative frequency table below to find the percent of individuals who did not have Ebola given that they tested positive for the virus. So this given they tested positive, that tells me we're going to be looking at this column for tested positive. And I do want to fill in this blank. So I'm just going to subtract these two. This is the total. So again, I can do this on my calculator. I will just be doing 7.5 minus 4.8. I get 2.7. There we go. And then my last step, I'm just going to divide these. Now, this is asking me for a percent, so I don't have to worry about reducing this or leaving it as a fraction. The ones that did not have Ebola were 2.7. This is a percent. So I'll just be doing 2.7 divided by the total, 7.5. So let's go ahead and type that in. And I get 0.36. So here I'll say 0.36. Again, they asked for a percent, so I will just write that as a percentage, 36%. All right, so these were just a few examples from Module 2 that just kind of ties everything together. I hope that this helps you out, and good luck with your course.